Hello and welcome to the Very Wool Podcast. My name is Diana Hawthorne. You can find me online as Delaware Spinster. We're going to get started today with what I'm wearing, and then I'm going to talk to you about some finished objects that I finally have finished and where I am with some of my whips, and I'll share some of my spinning plans because today is the start of Tour de Fleece, and that's a really big deal, so we'll talk about that more. So first I want to share with you what I'm wearing. I have finished my sort of improvised crochet house coat thing that I've been working on. Crochet cardigan. Is it a Ruana? I don't know what it is exactly, but it's just sort of a casual throw-on garment that I've finished that I know I talked about at, I guess it was my last podcast episode. It's been a couple of weeks because I was trying to finish this and finish some other things. So I'll share this with you first. So you can see I just kind of threw it on over a tank top that me-made top that I've shared before. But you can see how the back came out. I think it came out pretty good. I like the way that this part kind of sets off the other colors that it has. I just did a simple sort of a sewn exposed seam there and left it open down lower, high-low hem, which was inspired by the original design. So I'm going to sit down and talk to you a little bit more about this. So I know when I talked about it before, I shared that I had started the project looking at Janine Myska's Sacred Woods cardigan, and it started there and then kind of went somewhere different. I knew I wanted it, hers is the Sacred Woods pullover, and I knew I wanted to make it as a cardigan, but then I just kind of went off book and did a few different things. I also changed the gauge. So I looked at sort of her diagram for measurements of, and you know, the approximate, like the cast on, etc. And then I just changed it based on my different gauge because I liked the way that when I crocheted a blend of these twister yarns, I kind of liked how it was coming out and I wanted to use some up. So it was like a stash busting kind of a thing. It is chunky, but it's cotton acrylic and it's kind of open. It's just a simple double crochet. So it ends up being not too hot. Honestly, it is hot upstairs in this room today anyway because it's incredibly hot outside, but I'm not feeling uncomfortable because it's really open, and especially I left the armholes really open as well. So anyway, so I've been kind of throwing this on over things. It sort of goes with my casual summer wardrobe. Obviously, it's not something that I'm gonna wear to work and, you know, dress up, but around the house it works, and it's been keeping my arms a little bit warmer when we're like downstairs watching movies at night or watching TV before going to bed. It's really colder in the downstairs part of my house than it is upstairs. So I find I sometimes get cold in the outfit that I've been wearing all day, whatnot. So anyway, it's working for me. I'm happy with, I like the colors. I like kind of the drape of it. I actually have not blocked this, and if it was wool, I 100% would block it. I do block crochet garments. I will, when I wash it, kind of lay it out flat, but honestly, it's so heavy and there's so much cotton in it that it's just kind of working the way that it is. So I haven't bothered to block it. So, or at least since I finished it. Along the way, sometimes I block to just make sure things are working out to the same gauge. But anyway, so it's finished. It is what it is, and I like a lot of elements of it, and so anyway, so I've been using it, and it's nice to have honestly anything finished because sometimes I get so in the weeds with all these different projects that I don't have anything new to kind of celebrate and wear excessively like you do when something's brand new. So I've been wearing this. Now I have a bunch of finished objects, small finished objects, that I'm not wearing, and that's because they're wool socks. So if you were watching, boy, 5 episodes ago or so, I had talked about how I had this great plan with my circular sock machine to crank a bunch of socks, like mostly finished socks, that then I would finish. I would, you know, weave in the ends and take off the scrap yarn is the word I was looking for there. You start and end with scrap yarn. So, and then I thought I would like graft the toes closed. And I had all these plans to do that. So I cranked 5 pairs of socks in the end of April and early May. And then I went to Maryland Sheep and Wool, was away for the weekend, and I thought, oh, this is going to be the perfect thing. Did not touch them. I worked on this actually. I worked on a knitting project, but I did not work on finishing those socks. So at my last episode a couple weeks ago, I told you I was going to be going and doing some pool knitting for Father's Day, which is what I did. You know, we did a cookout. I saw my dad, etc. But I also hung out in my mom's pool in their neighborhood. They have like a neighborhood pool, and I did some knitting there. And I did actually work on my socks. And since then, I've had some time. So all of my socks now have been finished and completely finished. Like I even bothered to like wash and block them. So like I normally would. So I'm sad to say I haven't been wearing them because it's just not cold enough here right now for me to wear these knitted socks. I'm a little sad about that, but I don't wear socks for a few months of the year, honestly. So I'm just gonna go through these quickly because you've actually probably seen most of them when they were like partially done, but this is one with a self-striping sock yarn from Freckled Whimsy. And I have made, they kind of all start to look the same. The self-striping sock yarn, 100 grams is enough to make a couple pairs of socks when you use contrasting heels and toes and when you're doing a shorter sock. So they do look similar to other ones that I have that I finished a few months back. And then I just used some scrap yarn that I had dyed from an old project. I had some scraps. So that's pair number one. Pair number two, this was the one I talked about at length with you guys because I used a new self-striping sock yarn, my second ever self-striping yarn, and I tried to blend it with this one, and gosh, that just doesn't work. So on the second one, I was like, I'm not gonna waste any of this. I'm just gonna use the scrap. So these are mismatched and they're still cute. And when you wear jeans, you basically only see that part anyway. So yeah, so I got those ones. I have this pair. I got this yarn in a D-stash, and I will put the yarn information in the description box. I'll try and link to my Ravelry page. YouTube has not been letting me link yet because I'm not verified. I don't have a long enough history. It's a whole thing. So hopefully I'll be able to link to my pages. I don't know. We're going to find out. But I'll at least put the description. So this is a colorway called Hairbrush Microphone, which I thought was hilarious. I got this in a D-stash. It was like a surprise D-stash. Like I didn't know what I was getting. And I love this. And I don't remember the dyer, so I'll include that. I made the cuffs a little bit longer in this, and so I was sort of trying something a little bit different. 2 more pairs. I also tried something a little different in that, like, normally I block them to look like this, right? All sock blockers kind of look like this. Because I fold them differently now, then I don't just, it's hard to fold a sock like this. It kind of looks awkward and takes up weird amount of space. So I learned a new way of folding that you may have seen out there, and that means I blocked these ones weirdly. So I blocked these sort of flat, like that. That's probably the best way to look at it. These ones are a pair that I made from a yarn, one of my first hand-dyed variegated yarns that I was refining a colorway, and it turned out not how I wanted, but I kind of like it for socks. So it's a one-of-a-kind hand-dyed yarn, because after I dyed this skein, I was like, no, I don't like the way that works up. So I changed my formula. So then I don't know what I did for these, basically. And this is more one of a kind, just like a speckled colorway, which I used along with this speckled colorway in a sweater way back when. So anyway, so, you know, more hand-dyed, my hand-dyed yarns. And yet again, 2 hand-dyed yarns here, but the difference is with these ones that, again, you can see contrasting heel and toe. It still looks exactly like the other socks. It's just blocked differently. You probably already figured that out. These are repeating colorways. So this is my Pandora's Aquarium, and this is Bad Dream, which is one of my favorite colorways. And I honestly am looking at that and thinking I should be making myself a sweater quantity of that. Anyway, so the way that I sort of learned from somebody online to fold these, you first kind of make this one into a little sock ball. And then what you do is you lay it on this one, kind of tuck the heel in, and ultimately you're going to tuck the toe into the opening. And it works really well for long socks. It works for shorties as well. It just makes a different size ball. But see, now they're like adorable. I can still see what sock it is, but it's going to fit better in my drawer. So anyway, so I decided to try and block these differently just to see if that facilitates the folding. And that doesn't mean that I would never block socks like this anymore. I still will, especially if they're for a gift, or if I want to post pictures of them, because this just doesn't look as fun. So, and it's not as obviously a sock. It almost looks like a mitten for a second. So anyway, 5 pairs of socks that I'm so excited to have finished. It was so sad that, I mean, they were really a couple hours from finishing all of them all together. Each one only took 20 to 30 minutes. So it just was a shame that I just didn't sit there and take the time. I guess it's low reward because of the fact that, unlike this, I'm not wearing these right now. So I'm gonna probably take some time off from cranking socks. I don't know. What do sock knitters do? Because there are a lot of sock weeks and all kinds of fun sock events, sock knit-alongs going on. I've heard people say they like to knit socks in the summer because it's a small project to carry along. That makes perfect sense to me. That was my thought with the way that I knit socks, is obviously on the machine, cranking on the circular sock machine. But I thought the finishing part was like a small portable project, but somehow it's fussier for me than just knitting in the round. So I've just been taking a hat or, a small swatch or something that I'm working on as my portable knitting project, and this just has not been getting any love. So yeah, I'm not sure what my solution is, but this is obviously my first summer with the circular sock machine, so I'm sort of trying to figure out, do I just kind of take a break, or do I get into some gift socks, or I don't know. So I'm happy to have finished those socks. And at this point, that is all of my finished objects. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some whips. I don't think I have any knitted whips up here to show you because I'm still working on the same things you've seen. And I'm not that much further. I've been making progress on the Scotch Broom. sweater, and it's looking really good, but it's still just a couple inches further in the body than what you saw. So it's not really anything exciting to look at. I didn't feel that trying it back on makes any difference, or you know, I haven't changed my plan. So so I'm still just kind of cruising along with that. I have been working so hard on that crochet baby blanket. Still not done. It's still, I haven't changed the plan, but it's still just kind of one of the things I'm working on. So it's gotten to the point where the square's big enough that then each round takes a long time. So you know how if you do granny squares, or if you start anything from the center and are knitting in the round, when each row takes longer, the reward there is also a little bit less so. So anyway, I'm on track to finish it in plenty of time. I just haven't been working on it, or I've been working on it, but it hasn't been growing as exponentially as it was when it was tiny, is what I should say. So it just doesn't look all that different. But anyway, I've been working on that. But in all honesty, the thing I've been working on most is spinning. I was trying to finish spinning the singles for my mom's sweater dress. I did not finish yet. I'm still working on it. I know I shared at some point that I had plied one skein, and it was just a little bit too thick. The resulting 3-ply was like an Aran weight, or like a heavy worsted. So I shifted a little bit to spin the rest of the singles just a little bit finer. You don't have to make a huge adjustment on the singles in order for the 3-ply yarn to be a little bit thinner. So I did ply another skein, and it's in the bath right now. And I'm continuing to spin those singles. I was hoping to finish because Tour de Fleece started today. I did not, so it's just going to be something that's ongoing for me, and I'm okay with that. The way that I approach Tour de Fleece may be different from some other people, but I realize I should probably rewind a moment and kind of talk about Tour de Fleece. Tour de France is the bicycle race that happens. I don't watch it. I don't know anything about competitive bicycle races. But anyway, they ride all over France, right? I know that part. But Tour de Fleece was started probably 10 plus years, maybe 15 years ago. Somebody started, I wasn't spinning at the time, but they started to do this spin along that follows along with Tour de France. So at the same time, they ride, we spin, basically, or they spin, we spin, some people say. So I've been doing this for a few years myself. The last couple of years, I was sort of in the peloton, or like the main group of spinners, but you can sign up to be on a specific team. And although I wasn't super involved with teams in the last couple of years, I did sign up this year to be on the Stash Dashers, which is Melly Knit's team. So it seems like she runs it in a way that's pretty casual and low maintenance, and like not a lot of participation necessarily required. So that's wonderful. I don't expect to win prizes. I'm not a person who wins prizes, but with her team, just signing up, filling out her Google form, which I did, makes you eligible for the prizes that she gives out. It's not like who spins the most, or, you know, who spins on the theme of the day, because a lot of the teams have really cool themes. It can be around, you know, certain spinning tools or brands. So some wheel makers and spindle makers have like fans, or, you know, teams that are sort of loosely associated with them, I guess. And I didn't choose to do that because I spin on so many different things that if I'm not really loyal to one brand, if that makes sense. So I want to be able to use my Daedalus wheels, my e-spinners, but I also want to be able to use my Magicraft Aura, and I want to be able to use my spindles. And so I don't just do any one thing when I'm spinning. So I don't know. So I did think about joining multiple teams because you can kind of double dip. And I just feel like the part of it that I don't do tends to be the engaging with other people in these chats. I have the best of intentions of doing it and I enjoy it when I do, but if I have the time, I want to be spinning. So if I'm sitting around and I'm not spinning and I'm instead texting or like chatting with people, I don't know, it just doesn't, it's not what I automatically choose to do when I have my moments that I want to be spinning. So I don't know if I get a hand cramp at some point, or I'm feeling I'm getting like a risking repetitive strain injury or something, then like maybe I would take myself out of commission and just do some chatting. So we'll see. Like I don't push myself to the point where I'm gonna injure myself. I don't take off work for this event. Sometimes I wish I could, but today has been a really productive day, and I really just have a looser goal for myself. It's easy to say spin every day because the truth is I do spin every day. I am a lucky person who prioritizes spinning, knitting, crocheting, but I also have enough flexibility in terms of my commitments and my job. And I'm very fortunate that I'm able to spin every day. So just saying I'm going to spin every day during Tour de Fleece doesn't really challenge me, but at the same time, I don't want to say I have to finish this, I have to finish that, because then I lose that element of fun. So spinning for me is relaxing. It is just my favorite thing. It makes me so happy to spin and to knit with hand spun yarn. It makes me really happy to do a lot of different fiber arts. Those aren't the only things that I do, but those are my favorite things. And honestly, if it was spinning or knitting, it's spinning. I'm a spinner. So anyway, so I'm very excited about a lot of different projects, and I don't have a complete plan for the next few weeks, but I'm definitely going to spin certain things. Like I'm going to keep working on that dress spin. Didn't bring any of it upstairs, but I cleared off my bobbins that I need for, I needed some space, right? And I'm starting to work on fresh bobbins with that. And so that's going to be absolutely, I'm going to work on those teal bats. Am I going to finish them during Tour de Fleece? I don't know. I have a chance of that. I'm going to ply more of that yarn, and then I'll sort of keep track of that differently. I'm not on a team where you're required to check in and you're required to start new projects all the time or specifically spin this color today or something like that. It seems like it's very unrestricted. So, which is what drew me to Melly's team. So I basically am going to spin what I want to spin. So the teal project, that big sweater spin, it would be great to get some of that spun, some of it plied, and at the same time, I do want to mix it up. So I'm only using my Magicraft Aura for that. As far as I have two other two Daedalus e-spinners, my Sparrow and my Magpie. I might have some overlap in what I'm doing with those, but today I'm doing two different spins. So I've also been kind of alternating spinning and fiber prep. I'm somebody who doesn't necessarily have to have all the stuff prepped in advance. I kind of like to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the spins that I'm doing for that. So one thing that has been an ongoing, yet another sweater spin for me, I think I've showed you before, and I know I posted on Instagram a while back. These are a couple of skeins of yarn that I have 4 skeins. These are just 2 of them. But this is some yarn that I spun last year from a mix of fibers, but starting with this. So this is Polworth Silk from Kim Dye's Yarn. This is just the end of a braid. This was obviously not a full 4 ounces, probably 1 ounce. But this is a Polworth Silk, which I love spinning, comb top, hand dyed, sort of like a space dye. And it's the emerging colorway. It's hard to see if you can see any of the like the shininess it's just beautiful. So soft, and it just like when she like her fibers are just so open. It's, you know, sometimes you get hand dyed fibers and they're like compacted. Hers are not at all. So this was emerging. This is the colorway from Maryland Sheep and Wool 2023. So I got this last May and I got 3 braids of this. And then I realized that 3 braids times 4 ounces is, so a braid is basically 1 skein is how you could think of it, right? So I basically have 3 skeins and like full skeins. These are not quite full 100 grams. And I was like, that's not going to be enough for most things that I like to make in my size. So most sweaters are going to need more than that. And I had in mind, I'm thinking this is going to be a shifty by Andrea Mowry. And I've been thinking that. I kind of waffled and thought about other things, but I still think that's what this is going to be. I think it'd be beautiful as a shifty, which means this would be the main color. And then there would be other skeins in it as contrast in that mosaic knitting pattern. So in order to stretch 3 skeins of this, I added a bunch of different fibers that were in my stash. I added some things that were like a more, you know, a purpley. I added some more vibrant things. And ultimately, I ended up making, when I'm spinning it, ooh, okay, so I added some things like this, which you can see I'm pulling out some of the purples with that purple wool that I dyed. And then I make them into rollags or little mini rollags. I love a mini rollag. So I'm turning this and other things into these. And that is how I ended up with this yarn. So, so at any rate, I've been making more mini rollags today. It's super simple to just make some of these up. Why am I making mini rollags versus other rollags? I don't know. It's fun. So I like doing this, and it feels a little bit more potato chippy. Like I get through a rollag so fast, I'm grabbing the next one. So it's a little bit less unwieldy than a full rollag. So anyway, I've been making these and spinning this stuff, and I'm using my Daedalus Magpie, who I recently named Simone. So Simone is spinning that for me. I also, though, have been working on another sweater spin. I do things that are not sweater spins, but I really like doing a sweater spin. So anyway, so I've been working on this other sweater spin on my, no, I'm not working on this on my Sparrow yet. This is something that, that I'm still just doing on spindles right now. I will not do the whole project on spindles. But anyway, I cleared off some bobbins to work on this other sweater spin. So I'd shared with you at some point early on some of this Inglenook Fibers Barbie Land Batina braid that they have. And I'll show you another one of the, look at that, so fun. By the way, I've just realized everything I'm showing you is kind of matching what I'm wearing. So I guess you know where I'm at. So anyway, so this is beautiful fiber. Now, I am not strictly blending this with other things. I'm spinning this as is, and I'm spinning this on support spindles. It makes me very happy, and I'm enjoying every moment of this because it was a really special and fairly expensive. It was like a splurge. Not that I obviously do splurge on fiber stuff. This is my love. But anyway, I like this a lot, but not enough. It's like, I think I have 11 ounces or something. So again, almost 3 skeins potentially of a fingering weight yarn. Taking me forever to spin, that's fine. But not enough for a whole sweater. So I've had a lot of thoughts about this, but what I decided ultimately was to blend a bunch of other fibers to something that is similar to the colors. Now this, I'm only holding up part of this. There's also some green, there's more of the blue, there's more purples, there's more pinks than what I'm showing you. This is just some of it. So I took all of those colors, and it's sort of like a, it's like your classic CMYK without the black. So it's got cyan, magenta, and yellow for sure. And then has some other, it's like a pastel rainbow. It's Barbie Land. It's definitely Barbie Land, and it was a great name for this combination. So I've taken those color elements, but then in other fibers that I had in stash, and then blended them through these Rolags. So I've got a whole bunch of Rolags, and I'm sure I'll make more, but I'll just show you with this one because it's like nicely curled up here. So you can see how this in the background is going to be similar colors, but it's going to be blendier intentionally, and it's going to allow some of these brighter colors to pop. I have not totally decided how I'm applying this, but I probably will chain ply. The reason for that, I planned on making a 3-ply fingering, so that's kind of my go-to. So if I'm doing a 3-ply and I just am plying it together at random, then it would be really blendy like these are going to be. If I'm plying it together sort of intentionally but not random, I can color manage a little bit. But if I chain ply, because I'm spinning orange over here, and then I'm spinning green over there, and then I'm spinning blue over there, I could do a gradient, or I could do, it doesn't have to be a full gradient, but I can manage it so that the yarn itself is orange and then pink and then green and then blue. So anyway, I'm thinking about that. I have a long time to go. I've got a lot more of this to spin. I've got a lot of the extra colors to spin, and I'm honestly just trying to have fun with it and enjoy it. I don't know. It's one thing to say, oh, I think it's actually only 9 ounces of this, but you know, I have X number of ounces of this, so it's going to be X number of skeins. That's not always how it turns out, obviously. So some of it, I can do plenty of calculations, but until I finish spinning and actually measure the yarn, spinning, plying, finishing it, and then measuring it, I'm not positive. I'm just guessing how much I'm going to have. So, so in this case, because I've thought about so many different sweaters that I could make, half of which are patterns by Andrea Mowry, I'm gonna kind of see. I might make a cardigan that I have to steek, because it certainly would be something, it's not super wash, so it would be something that would have a little bit of grip and would work well with that, because I'm spinning from roll lags in one case and I'm spinning over the fold in another case. It is, I would say, a semi, you know, everything for me is kind of semi. I don't do strictly worsted or strictly woolen. I usually tend to be in the middle, and this is leaning towards woolen, the way that I'm spinning it on support spindles and the way that I'm spinning the roll lags on my Daedalus. So anyway, so I've got a lot more to go with that spin, and I'm not positive what it's going to be yet, but some type of a sweater, and I think it's going to be really fun. So yeah, so those are my major spins that I'm doing. Of course, I do plan to flick and spin some of these beautiful locks that I shared a few podcasts ago from this just, I mean, look at that fleece. Look at that. Look at those beautiful crimps. So I'm probably going to spin some of this because I'm really excited about it. I might start spinning those bats that I shared last time, which are using this fleece as well as some other things. I have some Inglenook fibers that I could spin if anything that I kind of feel in the mood for spinning. And the other thing that I've been spinning today, my husband picked, because I was feeling indecisive, and I was kind of looking at some of my stash, and he picked Angora fiber. So this is just some undyed Angora, but spinning Angora plain doesn't really work well for me. So my system is that I'm using some merino, that I have merino top that I dyed myself. I had made a braid that was kind of grays with some light colors. So it's got some light pink. This has some light blue, light green, along with gray. And I'm sort of combining those, carding them into little puffs like this, little clouds. So I'm spinning this from a cloud. So although this looks similar to this, it's definitely not. It is, once it's prepared like this, it is a lot more spinnable than this. Just Angora alone, especially, this is, you know, cut right from, shorn right off of the rabbit. It's not washed because you basically can't wash it. It is so fine, it's so slippery, such short fibers. It's very hard to spin like this. So I cut it with merino, basically. I do about 50-50 blend, and just using fine hand cards, my shacked hand cards that are like 208 TPI. So this is very spinnable, very enjoyable. This is what I've been spinning on my Daedalus Sparrow today. Yeah, so I'm just really having fun. I'm trying to do what I want to do basically during Tour de Fleece. Here's how I'm planning on taking records though. Daily, I'm hoping, I've never done this successfully, but I'm hoping to do an Instagram post every day and say what I was spinning on what tools, which, you know, in some cases, it'll just kind of reference back to previous posts. Like I'm not going to describe my teal sweater dress spin every time. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen it 20 times. So I'm going to talk about what I'm spinning on what tools. I'm going to talk about other creative things I'm doing, because if I'm not spinning a lot, it's probably because I'm doing other things. So obviously today I'm recording this podcast. I'm also, you can't tell, but making a pizza from scratch right now. Got some dough rising, so I've got to go make dinner after this. That's going to cut into my spinning time. That's okay. Got to live your life. And then I'm going to also talk about like anything I'm listening to or watching. Most of the time what I'm watching on weekends is my husband playing video games, because he uses our big TV for that. It works out really well that way. And my wheels are in our sort of family room, you know, so that we can be together even when we're doing different things. So I've been watching a very violent video game while I've been spinning this beautiful fleece, and that's okay. It works for me. Wouldn't be everybody's choice, but yeah, so I'm gonna share anyway if I'm, you know, listening to something, an audiobook, or watching a movie or something while I'm spinning, then I'll talk about that. And I'm also going to share, you know, anything new and exciting, any new goals, you know, any fiber prep that I'm doing. So making rollags and stuff like that, that kind of go into the whole day for Tour de Fleece for me, because it's not just spinning, it's sort of the things that are around spinning, right? The prep that I have to do in order to spin the way that I want to, etc. At the end of Tour de Fleece, maybe every week, but definitely at the end of Tour de Fleece, I do want to count for myself. I am keeping track of what was spun before and what's being spun as singles now. I am keeping track of if I'm plying something, like if I start plying the teal dress spin, if it wasn't singles that I spun during Tour de Fleece, fine, but then I'm recording it separately. So I'm considering spinning and plying two different things for the purpose of my own counts, which I'm accountable to nobody about, and it's not to win prizes or anything. Again, our de-stashers group is not all about that from what I can tell. So it's just spin and have fun. It's not so much who's spinning the most. And so I don't want to offend anybody with the fact that I am probably going to ply some previously spun singles. But for me, for my own purposes, I do want to sort of record at the end how much I spun, how much I plied. And unfortunately, there's not a great way to quantify fiber prep. Like you just saw a couple puffs of fiber there that that were a cloud. How am I quantifying that? I'm not. But in the day-to-day Instagram posts, I am gonna just sort of mention that I made these roll legs, or I worked on these bats on my drum carder, or that I flicked these locks as I spun them. So we'll see. This system may fall apart in 2 days. I don't know. But I plan to share that on Instagram. So you'll see, you know, some details, some photos of what I'm working on. I don't think it is helpful for my process to take a photo of my bobbin every day, because I'm not spinning all on one bobbin. I'm not just spinning on wheels. I also spin on spindles. And because I also do the fiber prep for a lot of these things, spinning is not the whole picture. So then I feel like it's not the best way for me to track how things are going and post about it, but I'll take strategic pictures of what's going on. So I think that's it for whips. It's a lot of work in progress because it's just going to be like a celebration of spinning. Like I just want to spin whatever I want to spin and enjoy it. And I am still using this time to finish some projects that I'd started, as well as pick up some new things. So, so that's the majority of what I'm going to be doing in the next few podcasts. I likely will still be within this Tour de Fleece kind of moment. So, so it'll be a lot of spinning stuff, but I am still going to be working on, I think probably 2 or 3 knit and crochet whips, that baby blanket. For sure, I'll be working on the Scotch Broom because I'm so close to finish that. And it's kind of hard for me to totally limit myself. So we'll see. I'm going to try and tuck some projects back in my studio here so that I'm not distracted by 30 knitted whips when I've also got so much spinning everywhere. My house is an explosion of wool right now. So, so we'll see. I'm going to try my best. Of note, as far as acquisitions, the thing that that I got in the last week that hopefully is going to make a difference for me going forward is the phone that I'm recording on. So I did upgrade and I got an iPhone finally after being an Android phone person for many years. So so anyway, so I'm still trying to figure this out, but hopefully it's going to make a difference in terms of autofocusing, and maybe, we never know, I may start actually editing things and polishing this a little bit better. So bear with me and feel free to comment and let me know that you think that would be helpful or not, or what you're doing during Tour de Fleece, because I'm, as you can tell, really excited to just have an excuse to spin and to talk about spinning. That's awesome. So, so I hope you enjoy whatever it is you're working on today. Stay cool. Have a good day.